Tonight I want to talk about security and insecurity because it's an important issue in life and there's a lot of misunderstanding about it. So it helps to understand it because we all deal with it. We're all somewhere on the spectrum. Over here, way over here, you have insecurity, and over here you have security. And we're all typically somewhere in the middle. And here's why. Love causes security and fear causes insecurity. That's the basic fact to understand about the issue. When a person is raised in a loving environment, i.e., they are treated correctly, their needs are met, they are able to trust those around them, the authority figures around them, and those in their environment, then they are going to be secure naturally. On the other hand, when a person is raised in an environment where they can't trust anyone, they are constantly hurt, abused, their needs are not met, and they cannot trust anyone around them, and they never know what's coming next, and they constantly live in fear, they're naturally going to be insecure. Now, this can happen in a physical sense, it can happen in a mental sense, an emotional sense, a spiritual sense. And it does. So those basics are what we need to understand as human beings, because we're all going to fall somewhere on that spectrum. Now, it's important to understand because a lot of times secure people will dog insecure people and look down on them as if they themselves made themselves secure and the insecure people made themselves insecure. when that's not the case. The case is that as we are raised, basically from the time we're born until we grow up, we are going to be in an environment that's either loving or non-loving. Again, somewhere on the spectrum, completely perfectly loving over here, which is pretty rare, or completely, terribly, horribly abusive over here, which happens, right? And everything in between. And the amount of security or insecurity that we live in is determined by that. Now, there are things that we can do as adults that cause security and insecurity, okay? But those are after the fact. The basic foundation of whether we're secure or insecure is laid as children, and that sticks with us barring the absence of intentional change. That sticks with us. So it's important for people who, when we're dealing with people, it's important to understand this, because insecure people often feel bad and guilty because they're insecure, and they feel like they should be more secure, but they don't know how to be secure. Okay? So, how does an insecure person become more secure? Well, the same way anybody becomes secure, by love. Number one way is by living in a loving relationship with God, which will secure you. It takes time and it takes consistent love, just as it happens when we're kids, but it will secure you. God's perfect love does that. His perfect comprehensive love, which is vast and complex and comprehensive, is not just one or two things. It's a multifaceted thing. But when God governs your life with the law of love and his love, that's the effect. The cumulative effect of that, day after week after month after year, longer you go, will secure you as you live in a relationship with God. Okay? The second way we can do it is by emulating God, seeing how he treats us, that perfect, comprehensive love, and treating ourselves that way. Right? Because when we do that, we will avoid risky factors that harm us, right? And So that's the two main ways that we can be secure ourselves. And of course, we can make good decisions, right? Don't get into fearful, dishonest um, situations, right? Or activities that are less than integrous, right? In which people get fearful and competitive and they lie and they cheat and they steal, right? Don't get into that world because it runs on fear and insecurity, right? So stick on the right side of the things where people run on integrity and honesty and right truthfulness and all that stuff, and that will also make you secure because you'll be in a secure environment. The other point that I want to make, though, is that people who are secure naturally need not look down on those who are insecure, as if the insecure people made themselves insecure, because 90% of the time that's not the case. And as well, 90% of the time the secure people did not make themselves secure. It's something that happened to them, right? Because of the quality people who raised them in their environment. So I asked the question in order to make that point. If there's an insecure person who for years and years and years has had to fight against insecurity and fight against fear and fight to overcome all that stuff day after day, after choice, after week, after month, after year, right? To overcome that insecurity and those fears. And there's a person over here who hasn't had to do that. Which one is worthy of more respect? Which one has had to work harder, be braver, and make more difficult choices? Right? That's important to understand, because usually the secure people look down on the insecure people when the insecure ones are the ones who've had to do way more work. A lot harder work, right? But the world generally has it backwards. Generally, the secure people just look condescendingly down on the insecure people when they don't realize the root causes of each. Okay? Now, I'm not advocating insecurity, because it's much better to be secure, but I'm just saying those who are secure need to understand and not look condescendingly on those who deal with insecurity. Thank you, and have a nice day.